Hi everyone and welcome to a new weekly update. In this update I'll take a look at what my farms are doing and if it's interesting to pull some funds and move it over to another farm. If you're interested in the results of last week, be sure to continue watching, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video. As I said in one of my previous videos, looking at total value locked is definitely a good and interesting metric, although of course it's not the only one to keep an eye on, but let's just use this one as a reference for our video. As you can see, I've been tracking the TVL for the different farms that I'm in right now. So we have Qi-Dao, Polycat, Sandman and Polyshield. And then I've plotted out the results, or at least the growth of the different TVL values in this little chart right here. So the only one that is looking really great is the Sandman farm. It has been going up and it continues to go up. All the other ones have hit their point and started dipping. So let's go over the first one, Qi-Dao. That's the one that I've been in for the longest time. So very important to know, the TVL that I'm tracking for Qi-Dao is only the TVL of the MyQi QuickSwap liquidity pool, while for all the other projects it's the total TVL. So this might be giving you a warped vision of the whole situation. So yeah, be aware that this value is specifically the value of this LP. Right now, the value of my liquidity pool tokens is still above 1,000. That's definitely an important mark for me to keep an eye on. This one, I talked about this in the last video, that I was planning to move this liquidity because I do think the market is looking better. However, I'm still going to keep an eye and see how it all evolves, especially because Bitcoin got rejected from that 50k level. And it seems like Ethereum is having a really hard time breaking through that resistance level as well. So we'll see how that goes next week before I convert these tokens into another liquidity pair. So for now, they're staying. I mean, 23% APR is not that bad. And when it comes to the Qi token, so it is a governance token. I do like the things that they're doing with the project, so I'm going to hold on to it for now. It's not the first time that it dipped below the $1 mark. I think it already went below the 90-cent mark as well. So if it doesn't go much lower, I'm not really worried. So I'm going to leave my tokens in here for the time being. Normally, I harvest these tokens on a daily basis and then I'll put them in the boost. As we can see that the boost APY has gone down as well, which is normal. If there are less people using the platform, there are less fees being distributed to the people who use this boost function. So let's just hope that the team can get some extra attention to the project, and this of course will increase the returns of the boost function as well. Next up, we have Polycat Finance. We've been in this pool for over 2 weeks now. We did see that they started out the week pretty strong. We even had an increase in total value locked, and then it started decreasing with a major dip on the 26th. Is this because of Avalanche and that liquidity is moving from the Matic network to Avalanche, for example? I don't know. We did pass that critical moment. I think between 10 and 14 days usually is a critical moment for farms. And then usually the farm tokens start dumping and people start moving it elsewhere because the APR has gone down and people are looking for more interesting farms. So even though Polycat Finance has the 30-day lockup period, maybe this caused for a small delay. But again, we do see a big dip on the 26th and then a steady decline from there on. So right now, the value of the POD token is dipped below $1. Personally, I think it will go down to 30-40 cents. If I recall correctly, in the pre-farm, I was able to get the tokens at about a value of 30 or 40 cents. So I wouldn't be surprised that the price of the POD token will level off at about 30 cents. This is why I pulled my liquidity for the farm token. I am keeping the fish token in there because you no longer can farm the token, and 200% APR is nothing to be ashamed of. I am going to look for a new home, see if I can find something better in this video for the DAI Matic pair. And again, we have a stablecoin pair here as well. So I'll see what I'm going to do with my stablecoins depending on how the market evolves next week. Of course, right now there's nothing else to do than harvest my tokens on a daily basis. And as I said before, there's a 30-day lockup period. So right now, at the current value of the POD token, I still have about $100 locked up in the old vesting schedule. And I have about $370 locked up in the new vesting schedule. Next up is Sandman. This is definitely this week's winner. It's also the newest farm. And we see that it's been doing and performing pretty well. It went from about $700. Also, a little side note, The yellow ones are the days that I forgot to fill in the chart, so I took an average value. So don't pay too much attention to the exact values, but as we can see, on all these days it went up really well. So right now the total value locked is $1.4 million, and we see in the graph that it has been performing pretty well. We also see that liquidity on their farm token is pretty good, so we are not worried that we wouldn't be able to exchange our Sandman tokens for USDC or Matic. We do see that the APR of the Matic USDC pair has gone down significantly, but we're still above 150%, so I'm definitely not complaining. I should have hit the mark where I already recovered my 4% deposit fee, so I don't mind leaving in my tokens a little while longer. I do see there's a very nice return on the ETH USDC pair. It's over 300%, so that is definitely impressive and something to keep an eye on. When it comes to the value of the token, let's take a look at that one. As you can see in the beginning, of course, probably bots had driven up the price, and then we see that classic dump. I think we got in here below the $3 mark, and we stayed around that $3 for quite some time. And then on the 25th, we started booming, and we went all the way up to $5 for the farm token, which is impressive. Then we went down again, and now it seems like we're stabilizing around that $3.5 mark. However, I do think it's important to note that we also hit that 7-day mark already, and I think usually with these projects around 10 days the value of the farm token will start dumping and people will start pulling their liquidity. So if you're planning to get into the Sandman farm and if you're planning to buy the Sandman token, please be careful. Of course, none of this is financial advice. Nothing what I'm saying in this video is financial advice. I'm just going over my own strategies, but out of personal experience so far, I would say getting into this farm token right now would be pretty risky. But yeah, we'll see next week if my thesis holds up, yes or no. But my guess is that the token will dump in the upcoming week. Nonetheless, if you're farming ETH USDC or Matic USDC, this is not really something that you have to worry about as long as you're harvesting on a daily basis and selling on a daily basis. Now, before you pull your liquidity, please do keep in mind you did pay 4% on everything that you put into this farm, so please make sure that you have your return before you pull your liquidity. And of course, always keep an eye on the liquidity of the farm token. If it gets too low, you will not be able to sell your Sandman tokens, and then why the hell would you be farming them? Last up is Polyshield. We saw some really nice growth in the early days of the week, and then we saw a pretty hard dump on the 26th. I don't know why, but this is definitely significant, going from 11% growth in TVL from our starting point suddenly to minus 7%. So yeah, there's definitely a big dump. Then it seems like it's stabilized. Of course, the value of the token has dropped as well. So when we take a look at Polyshield, as I said before, this farm had been running for quite some time. We got in here at this point, which was not that bad at all. So the price went up first. And of course, we had that increase in total value locked. And then it started declining with a pretty serious dump going from the 25th to the 26th. And then we just continued to decline, as we can see here. And now we're down to about $3. And when we entered, we were above the $10 mark. But of course, same thing here. I don't really mind. I'm just looking at the APR. I put in USDC wrapped Ethereum. So if I'm selling on a daily basis, I don't really care that much what is happening to the token as long as it's not dumping 90-80%. So if it's declining steadily and I'm selling on a daily basis, I really don't mind. So currently we still have 162% APR, which is definitely very good for the USDC wrapped Ethereum pair. Of course, it's always interesting to keep an eye out for new farms. Again, we always use RugDuck. We look at Polygon, then we click low risk, and these are the results. So we'll take a look at Astro Farms, EBSwap, and Gold York. So looking at the farms over at Virgo Finance, we see, of course, very interesting returns on their native tokens. We also see the Virgo token, which is the new one. We have Leo, Neptune, Cancer. These are farming tokens from their previous projects. Of course, we're not interested in those. We see a very interesting return on USDT, USDC, over 100% APR. This is definitely interesting for a stablecoin pair. Then we have Matic USDC. We have 100% here. Personally, this is higher than on Polycat Finance, but we have to pay 4% deposit fee. Over at Polycat Finance, we have to pay 0%. So this is definitely not enough for me to move my tokens and take the risk of this 4%. All right, next up on the list is EBSwap. I think we took a look at this one last week as well. The one I might be interested in is the Matic USDC, but at 64% we are getting better results over at the other farms. Same thing for USDC, USDT, USDC, wrapped ETH. Again, we are getting better results at different farms, so I'm going to skip this one for this week as well. Then we have Polyork, just as with the Astro farms. This is a third iteration. Very good returns on their own tokens. And we take a look at the more general tokens. We see wrapped ETH USDC, 61%. This is definitely not bad, but we're getting better results over at Sandman and over at Polyshield. So not enough reason to change anything here. So for now, we are not changing anything to the strategy. Of course, we'll evaluate on a weekly basis. However, I do want to take some time and take a look at all the other things that are going on in the market. And if you're into farming, you probably heard about the 180 million that is going into Avalanche to promote the platform. So that's a lot of liquidity that will be moving over there. So I think even though the 180 million Avalanche Rush project hasn't started, the promotion campaign hasn't started yet, I do think it's interesting to take a look at what's going on there right now. To do this, we just click filter by network, we click Avalanche, and then we say least risk, low risk, and some risk. For now, we only have 4 projects. Beefi Finance has been around for quite some time. They're active on different networks. I think they started on the Binance Smart Chain. They have an auto-compounding function, so this could be interesting to take a look at. Then we have Trader Joe, Frost Finance, and Pangolin Exchange. So Pangolin is sort of the quick swap of the Avalanche network. So let's take a look at all 4 of them. So first up is Pangolin. When you look at the design, you of course see that it's inspired by Uniswap, QuickSwap, and everything else that's based on Uniswap. Let's take a quick look here at PNG. So taking a look at the reward pools, I assume that you have some faith in the native AVAX token. So I'm willing to take a look at the AVAX liquidity pair. So AVAX Ethereum 76%, AVAX USDT 81%. That's definitely good. AVAX DAI is even better at 118%. So I do think these two are interesting. And it's also important to know we don't have any deposit fees, if I'm correct. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, I don't see any mention of a deposit fee. So that might be a good reason or incentive not to invest it in, for example, one of the pools that I talked about earlier on Matic, where you have to pay that 4%. In this case, it's a lot more flexible if you don't have to pay a deposit fee. Next up is Beefi Finance. So the most important thing about Beefi Finance, first of all, it's available on a lot of different chains. And second of all, it has this auto-compounding function. Of course, important to know, the liquidity is not over at Beefi Finance. It's just auto-compounding for you. This means you have to trust Beefi Finance and you have to trust the place where you leave your liquidity. So in this case, we have Swap and Pangolin. Looking at the different tokens, we see this one has a good, nice API. This is the Beefi project and of course the AVAX token. So if you believe in the Avalanche project, you have no problem in buying the AVAX token. And if you believe in the Beefi DeFi project, then I think this is definitely a nice combination. Scrolling down, you see some very nice returns on Ethereum AVAX. So personally, because I don't really know the Beefi project, I do know Ethereum, I do know Avalanche. Avalanche has been performing really well. So I would definitely be interested in putting some liquidity here. Just below, this one is looking even more interesting, 4.6k APY. And this on USDT AVAX. So personally, this is a winner, I think. USDT, stablecoin, AVAX. If you believe in Avalanche and you're planning to use the Avalanche system, then this, I think, is a no-brainer. Third one in the list is Trader Joe. Let's see what they have to offer in their farms. 31% APR on the stablecoin pair. 265% on the Beefi AVAX. So this is APR. So if you would convert that and use it on a daily basis, of course annually this will be a very high APY percentage, much higher than what we've seen on Beefi. when you would have the liquidity over at Pangolin, I think it was. So yeah, if you believe in the Beefi project and you believe somewhat in Trader Joe, then I think for this liquidity pair, this is the place to go. Last one in the list is Frost Finance. Of course, we have really high returns on their native farm token, and of course 0% deposit fee. We have a impressive 1000% APR on the Beefi avax combination. So if you believe in Beefi and Avalanche and you don't mind providing liquidity on Pangolin, and you think you can trust the Frost Finance, then at 1000% APR, this is the one you have to look at. Withdrawal fee 1%. This is a lot lower than what we see on the Matic network. Over there it's almost all 4%. Scrolling down, usually I like the ones that have Ethereum or a stablecoin compared with the native network token, in this case the Avalanche token. Here we have 269% APR, again this is APR, only 2% withdrawal fee, which is twice as good as on the Matic network. Same thing for the avax USDT pair, 300% APR, definitely impressive, again 2% withdrawal fee, and the same on the DAI combination above 300%. So yeah, if you believe in the Avalanche network or if you're holding the avax token anyway, I think these two are worth checking out, especially at a plus 300% APR. Alright, it's time to wrap up this video. After looking at the returns over at Avalanche and especially on that Frost Finance project, I'm definitely interested in putting some liquidity there, especially because I'm only paying a 2% withdrawal fee, while at the Matic farms I have to pay 4%. I'm probably going to pull this liquidity simply because I have 0% withdrawal or deposit fee over at Polycat Finance, and I have this 30-day lockup period, which makes it hard to hyper compound the returns. So I'm going to sleep on it for a night. I'm going to see how liquidity evolves over at Frost Finance and how the APRs hold up in the upcoming 2 days. If it's all looking good, then I'll probably bridge my funds from these two pools and move them over to Avalanche. Alright, that's it for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I hope you enjoyed it. That means you can hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Also, please do post a comment. It doesn't matter what you put in there, but it does help push the video in the YouTube algorithm, so I would definitely appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time to do it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.